Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. With Clove arriving into the game over the last few days, there's been big questions as to whether their abilities are going to be viable in competitive play. It seems like TenZ, among others, have been using Clove a lot in ranked over the last few days, and potentially after the success that TenZ is out of the Open, maybe Clove is the next agent that TenZ is going to be maining here for Sentinels. Also some roster changes happening elsewhere. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, Screwface VALORANT, of course on the, after their loss to YFP guys, the Thinking Men team have decided to make a change. This is how things go down there in challenges. It is absolute chaos the majority of the time, and especially the teams that aren't that good. At the end of the day, challenges is pretty damn top heavy this year. You've got M80, you've got Moist Chobify, you've got Oxygen Esports among some others. It's a pretty top heavy situation. If you're not looking good enough to make it to Ascension, you're gonna, well, at least to try and qualify through Ascension to win the entire thing, you've got to consider changes. So Screwface says, yeah, they've decided to move forward with Lear and potentially for the future. So, we'll see how that goes. He's also fluent in Spanish, so he says, yeah, willing to move to other regions as well. So, yeah, wishing him the best, absolutely. It's a difficult time for these challenger guys, of course, and one of them that will be back there, or maybe from a collegiate perspective, will be Jake. So, confirmed yesterday by the Cloud9 guys that Jake is gone from the team. Jake, of course, came into the roster to replace Ye when all the drama happened at the start of last season. Ye then ended up on DSG. We'll discuss those guys in a couple of seconds. But yeah, Jake came into the lineup. I think did a very respectable job over the course of last season. He wasn't spectacular, but, he was acceptable for sure. And given MCE's history now moving into the collegiate stuff, it makes a fair bit of sense. So Jake is now gone off the team, and they seemingly have fully removed him from the roster. They are bringing in his replacement, of course, is going to be Moose, effectively, and Rooney. So Rooney's coming in back into the team, of course. Now, he's not going to in-game lead, we don't think, because Vanity is still there. Moose is coming in instead. And I don't know if, to me, does this massively move the needle for you guys, right? Are you looking at minus Whippy, minus Jake, plus Rooney, plus Moose, and saying, yep, that's going to be the iteration that's going to take Cloud9 back to the top, or just to the top in general? I don't really see it personally. So maybe they've got other ideas. They haven't yet confirmed fully whether that is going to be their roster, but we're pretty sure that it is going to be. And sure, with Zephyr, Vanity, and Oxy, you've got a solid core. But I just think there are more questions to be raised on this team now. I do believe that a two-man change was probably what they needed to consider. And I feel like all things considered, minus Jake, minus Whippy, it makes sense which players they've replaced. But the players they're bringing in instead, in Rooney and Moose, to me, don't, necessarily spark the imagination that these guys are going to be able to really compete at the top of the field. But I guess we'll see. We've seen other changes like this before turn teams around rather dramatically. So, yeah, Jake is gone. Of course, wishing him the best. Now, I mentioned DSG earlier. We've got to talk about them again because DSG, well, Disguised Toast himself actually reveals that he tried to get JohnQT. Now, let's not forget, right, that they tried to get Demon 1, or Demon 1 was actually playing with DSG. Then they scrimmed Evil Geniuses, and EG basically poached him after he slammed them in the scrim. Then he won the World Championship for them. So how different things could have been. And also, how good of a talent scout is this guy? Or was he just speaking? I think he was talking to Sean Gares and probably others about trying to find some good talent. But he reached out to JohnQT to try and get them to sign. But of course, at the time, JohnQT had just signed to M80. This actually was the screenshots here while DSG were playing their game yesterday. Of course, now they have an Ascension Challenger team in the Pacific that's partnered with Bleeze. But he reveals this DM here. Hey there, wanted to ask what your current status is for pro play. Working with some people on fielding a Tier 2 team for VALORANT and seeing who the available free agents are. JohnQT then says, hey, I actually just signed today, so I'm not available anymore, but I appreciate the opportunity. Would have been cool. Good luck, he says. So really nice message actually here from John. I'm sure he was doing well, right? Because he just signed his contract with M80 and went on to very nearly win Ascension that year. But as I said yesterday, in some ways, not winning Ascension, blessing in disguise for JohnQT because he got the Sentinels offer as a result, and bang, he's straight into winning international events on his very first rookie season. So, unbelievably impressive player. This goes both ways, right? Because imagine, wow, DSG, if they could have got JohnQT, imagine how they'd have done, right? I mean, they had a lot of talent on paper, especially at that point. But also, DSG were a disaster, and that first situation wasn't very good either. So, you know, this kind of could have squandered JohnQT's career. So I think you can look at it from the perspective of, damn, this could have been cool for DSG, but also like, wow, JohnQT dodged a bullet there, because if he joined DSG, then it probably would have been a very different story in his career, of course. And now, yeah, he's loving life back in Morocco for a few days, and then I'm sure they're going to be back in the US to get practice in going into the start of the season, right? Because yes, winning is one thing, but maintaining that level of advantage is another question entirely. And 100T, we think, have been looking pretty good in scrims. I think that's the first game of the season, Sen 100T, and they're certainly going to want to win that one. Now, after winning the event, Sentinels, their bundle, was promoted in the store. This was a talking point that was had during the event itself in Madrid, that Riot said, yeah, if you win, we are going to promote your bundle as, like, you know, the primary one in the store, which is what actually happened here. So I thought that was kind of cool. Maybe that is going to be enough to put Sen to number 1 in the rankings. We're pretty sure they're currently second in the rankings behind PaperX, at least in terms of percentage usability, in terms of the skin. It's the feeling that Sentinels may have sold more, but PaperX's are used on a higher basis, possibly. Maybe just because PaperX is kind of unique and Sentinels there's other ones that look kind of like the Sen bundle, but nonetheless, Elsis has been doing his best to try and get the job done. However, the big talking point really I thought of yesterday was around Clove, because, you know, now in the game, very powerful agent theoretically. The question always is, yes, works well in ranked. Does it translate into competitive play, into pro play? Not necessarily. And we'll look at some of TenZ's performances here so far in this game. And I think you'll probably see that whatever you see from TenZ with Clove, you probably would have seen something similar with ISO and with, you know, Deadlock or whatever. Other agents that have come in relatively recently and just aren't especially viable. But I can see Clove being pretty damn good. Especially the resurrection ability is like just really powerful when you use it in the correct way. And especially if you're in like a site execute situation or something. We'll see an example here from JohnQT in a second. Not this example, by the way. This example here from JohnQT getting an ace here in the rounds. So yeah, just have a look at this. Obviously the smoke is very powerful. It's a smoke. It's nothing crazy. It's not as strong as some of the other smokes, but it's good enough to kind of prove its purpose here. Gets the first kill. Then obviously has strong abilities to regenerate health from these kills, but then also use you know, the ability to decay the enemies down low. But JohnQT goes down here, but immediately then decides to, you know, hit the revive, comes back alive, and then of course the way that this works, you know, you get a little bit of time to get around the corner, and then you also get a little bit of time to get a kill. All you need to do is get a kill or an assist in a relatively long period, and then you'll be fine. So JohnQT is immediately back in business, gets 1, gets 2, gets 3, closes out of the round. So, you know, and then can also, if he would like, let's say he did go down, can then actually use the smoke on Clove even after death. So Clove is definitely a strong agent, and maybe it's understandable. Usually the agents feel strong when they come out. It's then about whether they can actually find a place in the meta. That's kind of always the question about this, which is a valuable question. But I think in Clove's case, there is a case for it. The other point, though, is as a controller, if you want to run Clove, you've got to replace one of the other agents. You know, let's say you're running an Omen Viper comp, then either Omen's got to go or Viper's going to go if you are going to run Clove. And possibly it'd be Omen that would go, right? Because in some ways, this is like a controller version of Reyna. It's like a, you know, controller duelist, almost hybrid in some ways. So I think I can see a world in which players that kind of like using the Omen in that kind of role could also try the Clove. So this has also been a question here with Fnatic, because those guys are getting ready to go for the start of the season. I think it was even said by JohnQT that in Madrid they scrimmed a fair few teams, and it was Fnatic that were probably the best scrims that they got during that period. So Fnatic is still going to be good. I mean, nobody is denying this, but they didn't make it to Masters Madrid, and they need to start the season well. Post has been doing his aim training, so I'm sure that, you know, they should be a threat, but we'll see again if Fnatic can become a 1-team region rather than a 0-team region, as they looked during Masters Madrid, to be fair. But Durka, he ain't going anywhere, and sure, this is ranked, so take it what you will, but as Durka says, Clove is pretty strong. I think I beat my ACS record. So, you know, just to show what it's like at this kind of level, Durka here on the Clove, 34 in 6, with an average combat score of 663 and some pretty ridiculous numbers really here. So this is, I mean, 34 frags in 14 rounds. Ain't bad, is it? So yeah, this is what Durka does in some pretty competitive lobbies with the Clove. So it's something that probably he is at least thinking about. But also TenZ, he's back in business, and here he is on the Clove, and these are his numbers over his first games. So look, it's ranked, whatever, and as I say, you can look at this for multiple agents that have come out, the numbers will look similar. But still, you can definitely see a world in which, having played Clove 7 games in a row, he lost one, damn, this guy's washed or whatever, but he was the match MVP in every single other one that he played, with, well, lots of score, lots of impact, etc, etc. No real massive surprise. So this is a comparison here, by the way, on how long the smokes last, right? We can see here on the Ascent that, well, we don't have the Viper smoke here, but the Brimstone smoke lasts the longest. We can actually see that the first one to go here after 15 seconds, or I think it's, I guess, just, well, I guess it's more like 12, 14, 13 seconds, something like that, is the Clove smoke. And then, well, you also got to realize the Harbor one, you shoot it and it dies. So realistically, that ain't lasting that long. But as we can see here, the Clove smoke goes around about now, and then the other smokes follow relatively shortly afterwards. So yeah, the Harbor one then dies, the Astra one then dies, we then get the Omen one going. So there's a couple of seconds difference in the Omen smoke versus the Clove smoke, which is relevant, and then the Brimstone smoke lasts a little bit longer just than that. So, but yeah, people are aware that that of course lasts a rather long time. So can you see it, right? Do we think TenZ on the Omen is a viable option to move away to the Clove? We can see here in terms of clutch percentage in 1v1, 1v2, 1v3 clutches, TenZ had the second highest after Lakia, and TenZ often, I mean, he was last alive relatively often, but of course, as you know, the Omen player who's kind of playing it as a duelist at times on certain maps, then he can often be second into those situations. And I think the Clove could also be viable to possibly do a similar thing. So very much interested in your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Hello?
DM?
No, sure. I already DM'd, but let's go.
All right.
I'm ready, dude. I'm a different beast these days.
Where's your where's our title?
Don't say. Okay, first of all, don't say ours. Blood is not on the team, bro. Second of all, that's what I'm saying. Where's my title?
Dude, I can't believe Curry's getting a title. That could have been me. Oh my god. Dude, wait, did both coaches get a title? Did both coaches get a title?
Match found.
I think so.
Ooh, you don't know.
I think whoever's whoever's listed like on the roster.
Bro, throw me on there, man. 7-man. Wait, can you have 7 people on the roster?
I don't know. We can try for you.
Dude, I want the title, man. I feel like I was a part of this.
You were a part of it.
From a distance.
Sentinels is nothing without you. Don't ever let anyone tell you different.
God, you're so PR now, dude. You're such a PR guy.
No, it's cringe. I hate it.
So what? You guys win one event, now you're not practicing anymore?
No, don't kid yourselves. the first shuttle ride back, the thing we instantly said was we wanted the Shanghai trophy.
Shanghai 100%. Wait, are you guys locked in for Shanghai?
No, definitely not. We gotta qualify.